Today I'm going to be doing a book haul. I have 10 books here that I have to haul. This is kind of a weird month for me, so maybe this is the new me, but don't really expect all too much in the future in the way of hauls. But today has apparently been a productive month for my book buying or book acquiring, in the case of some of these. So I'm going to be starting at the top of, I've made two little shelves here, so I'm going to go through the one I have over here first and then the one I have right down here. And so the first book that I have is Daughter of the Blood by Anne Bishop, which is the first book in the Black Jewels trilogy. I found this at my public library on their little sale shelf for 50 cents, so I decided to pick it up. So I'm going to read the back for you. The Once and Future Queen. 700 years ago, a Black Widow witch saw an ancient prophecy come to life in her dazzling web of dreams and visions. Now, the Dark Kingdom readies itself for the arrival of its queen, a witch who will wield more power than even the High Lord of Hell himself. But she is still young, still open to influence and corruption. Whoever controls the queen controls the darkness. 3 men, sworn enemies, know this, and they know the power that hides behind the blue eyes of an innocent girl. And so begins the ruthless game of politics and intrigue, magic and betrayal, and which weapons are hate and love, and the prize could be terrible beyond imagining. So this is a fantasy book. I think it might be adult, but I'm not actually entirely certain. But yeah, this is just a little 50-cent impulse buy. So, I'm gonna set this. So, the next 4 are all in a set. So, we start with The Trials of Apollo, The Burning Maid. Man, this is book 3. I have these upside down. That was a lie. We start with The Trials of Apollo, book 1, The Hidden Oracle by Rick Riordan. So this, I'm going to explain this when I get down to the bottom of this shelf, but this is the one that I will be reading out the synopsis to, because it's all Apollo, the once and glorious god of the sun, music, poetry, and more, has been cast down to earth in punishment by Zeus. Now he is an awkward mortal teenager named Lester Papadopoulos. In order to regain his place on Mount Olympus, Lester must restore 5 oracles that have gone dark. But how is he supposed to accomplish this task without having any godly powers? It's time to recruit some help. A certain demigod named Percy Jackson shows him where he needs to go. A training camp on Long Island called Camp Half-Blood. So this is the third, I think they're all in the same universe, but this is the 3rd series that Rick Riordan has written that takes place with that deals with Greek and Roman mythology specifically. And I remember when this came out, I was so excited for it. Because as a preteen, I read this book, that I cannot remember the name to, unfortunately. That was about, I think 3 of the muses being sent down to, like, a place in Georgia, like Athens. It's called, the name of the city was Athens. They were supposed to be sent as mortals to Athens, Greece, during the actual, like, ancient Greek times, but instead they go to Athens, I think it's Georgia, and they have to attend high school. And when this came out, I was like, it's that, but like serious. And honestly, I have not revisited any of my little preteen faves in a minute, but like, this is probably better. but this one specifically. But you know, like more serious takes on mythology aren't better than more like frivolous, girly ones. It's just like I was excited for a different take on that type of story by one of my favorite childhood authors. So, okay, and so next I have The Dark Prophecy by Rick Riordan as well. I'm not going to read out the back of this one because it's a series, so I don't want to spoil what happens in this one by what spoils what happens in this one by telling you what happens in this one, or the concept of this one. But I do really love this one because it has lesbian moms. Oh, I just actually I don't know if I cannot remember if they were actually confirmed to be specifically lesbians, but there's two moms who have a child who I think is the Oracle. I think that the child of the two moms is the Oracle that they are. Well, actually, that's not the way I want it to go. Okay, and the third one is The Burning Maze, for real this time. So this is the most recent one before today, as I'm filming this, probably when I also upload this. It was the most recent one. It was fine. I didn't hate it. I enjoyed reading it, you know. But now we have the exciting one, which is The Tyrant's Tomb. So this is the copy that I got. Technically, it's an advanced copy because I got it the day before it came out. So this is, and also the signed copy, and I'm probably going to leave the dust jacket on this one just because the other books are all paperbacks, and I want the spines to be matching to some degree at the very least. But if I ever actually manage to get a full set of matching hardbacks, then, and I'm going to read it dust jacketless as well, naked as well. So it having this really pretty, real pretty little image on it. Oh. And then also the spine is really nice too. Like, look at that. Minimalism. So yeah, so this is now the most recent book in the Trials of Apollo series, and the second to last book in the Trials of Apollo series. So at the very least, I do have the chance to get more than one hardback in this little tour because I live near DC. He's probably coming back to DC. So, and this actually is not going to be shelved properly because this is one of the books I'm going to be reading for the Believe in Magic Readathon. So this is going up here with all these tiny books. Okay, so those are all the books that I got from that event, plus also Daughter of the Blood. But now we're going to move on to a book that I actually got for free. There's a little cart by the door of the synagogue that I go to that has free books in it, because the synagogue has a little library in it, and they prune it, and when they prune it, they give away the books that they are pruning for, or I assume they give away the books that they're pruning for reasons other than just like, this book is just dead. Like, this specific copy is just so beaten and battered that it has to be done. It's unreadably messed up. And so I got The Crooked Mirror, which is a memoir of Polish-Jewish reconciliation. So when Louise Steinman was growing up, her mother could scarcely utter the word Poland, a country she had taught her daughter that allowed and perhaps abetted the genocide that decimated Europe's Jewish population. But in 2000, at an invitation of her Zen rabbi, Steinman set out to attend an international bearing witness retreat at Auschwitz-Birkenau. As she travels to Poland and visits her grandparents' town of Radomsko, whose 18,000 Jews were deported or shot during the Nazi occupation, she gradually learns that the history of Polish-Jewish relations is far more complex than she had ever imagined, and she discovers a pre-war past where a lively community of Jews and Catholics lived shoulder to shoulder. Returning time and again to Poland over the course of a decade, Steinman finds Poles who are seeking the truth about the past, however painful, and creating their own rituals to teach their towns about the history of their lost Jewish neighbors. This lyrical memoir chronicles her immersion in the exhilarating, discomforting, sometimes surreal, and ultimately healing process of Polish-Jewish reconciliation. So this sounds like it's a lot. So I'm not entirely certain when I'm actually going to be getting to this. This is a mood book. This is a book where I need to be ready for it. Because I am still technically reading Henny and Her Boat, but that is a book that's very much about that is very much a story of resistance, and a very successful resistance, and so that's definitely something that's very hopeful. And this is probably something that's going to have, I'd imagine, an aspect of hope to it, but sort of more like sad memoir hope, if that makes any sense. So, and now we are back to a library book, and that is Wormwood by G.P. Taylor. Actually, I've not checked to see what. Pretty simple. Panic fills the streets of 1756 London when the earth lurches forward and starts spinning out of control, leaving the city in total darkness. Is the end of the world at hand? Agatha Lamian fears so. As the young housemaid of Dr. Sabian Blake, a scientist who possesses an ancient and powerful book called the Nemorensis, Agatha overhears his prophecy. This disaster is only a warning, for a deadly comet is headed straight for London. Dr. Blake believes the comet will either end the world as he knows it, or hearken a new age of scientific and spiritual enlightenment. But whatever the outcome, he must cope with the madness that grows in London as the comet approaches, as well as with his fears that the Nemorensis' power could be clouding his own visions and drawing dangerous spirits to his door. Soon even Agatha seems to have been seduced by the book, and to whom she ultimately delivers it will determine much more than just her fate. So, it was $1. Sounded interesting. We'll see what happens. Okay, so the next two books are actually related because they are Dominicana by Angie Cruz and This Tender Land by William Kent Kruger, which are both Book of the Month books. This is a book from this month, and this is a book from last month. I signed up last month and got a credit last month, but that was a credit for September, and I did not realize that until I got invested in reading Dominicana, though I am kind of, I am kind of scared because this does not have quotation marks. It does not mark when dialogue is happening. It just happens. And you have to use context to tell the difference. So we're going to see how that goes, I suppose. But yes, so 15-year-old Ana Cancion never dreamed of moving to America, the way the girls she grew up with in the Dominican countryside did. But when Juan Ruiz proposes and promises to take her to New York City, she must say yes. It doesn't matter that he is twice her age, or that there is no love between them. Their marriage is an opportunity for her close-knit family to eventually immigrate. So on New Year's Day, 1965, Ana leaves behind everything she knows and becomes Ana Ruiz, a wife confined to a cold sixth-floor walk-up in Washington Heights. Lonely and miserable, Ana hatches a reckless plan to escape, but at the bus terminal she is stopped by Cesar, Juan's free-spirited younger brother, who convinces her to stay. As the Dominican Republic slides into political turmoil, Juan returns to protect his family's assets, leaving Cesar to take care of Ana. Suddenly, Ana is free to take English lessons at a local church, lie on the beach at Coney Island, dance with Cesar at Audubon. Is that French? I pronounced it very French. Ballroom, and imagine the possibility of a different kind of life in America. When Juan returns, Ana must decide once again between her heart and her duty to her family. So, this is obviously what it looks like underneath, because it's a Book of the Month book. But I am excited for this. No idea what I'm gonna get to it, because it also sounds like it's a lot. But I'm very interested and excited. So let's I still have my Bloodhound dust jacket. It's just sort of sitting over there. So I'm gonna put this over with it. Okay. And so next is This Tender Land by William Kent Kruger, which is one of the books of the month for September. In the summer of 1932, on the banks of Minnesota's Gilead River, the Lincoln Indian Training School is a pitiless place where Native American children, forcibly separated from their parents, are sent to be educated. It is also home to Odie O'Banion, a lively orphan boy whose exploits constantly earn him the superintendent's wrath. Odie and his brother Albert are the only white faces among the hundreds of Native American children at the school. After committing a terrible crime, Odie and Albert are forced to flee for their lives along with their best friend, Mose, a mute young man of Sioux heritage. Out of pity, they also take with them a broken-hearted little girl named Emmy. Together they steal away in a canoe, headed for the mighty Mississippi, in search of a place to call home. Over the course of one unforgettable summer, these 4 orphan vagabonds journey into the unknown, crossing paths with others who are adrift, from struggling farmers and traveling faith healers to disciplined families and lost souls of all kinds. With the feel of a modern classic, This Tender Land, blah, 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 all that stuff. They did not separate that one very clearly, but so I was not hugely fond of many of the options for this month's books, but you know, I'm willing to give it a shot. I'm willing to see. I hope it's good, and I hope that the representation in it's good. We'll just have to see. And then my last book is this chonker. Well, it's not really that big of a chonker, but you know, it's a weighty book. It's a chonker in that sense. So this is just called A History of the Jews by Abram Leon Sachar? Sachar. I do not know much about this book. In fact, I do not know anything about this book other than those 2 facts, and what can be very easily gleaned from those. Well, the title. I know nothing about Abram. But, you know, I like history. I feel like this is something that I should know. Apparently someone got this for Hanukkah in 38. This is an old book, Jesus. I mean, you can tell, but like, I did not realize just how much this is old. So yes, so, since I don't actually really know much about this book, it's probably just going to be, it's probably not going to be something that I'm just going to read and go with, because I don't know the author, I don't trust the author, and it's also just really, really old, so, but I think it'll be interesting, and, just because I don't take everything in here at face value doesn't mean that I can't learn anything. So, it's a very squeaky book. So let's put that. So that's all 10 books. I'm going to shelve these now, and then I'll shelve the Tyrant's Tomb properly after the readathon. So that's going to be it for this video. I'll either be doing this either again. I have a little tiny shelf up here, so I just sort of stack them on top of each other, and when the stack gets too tall to fit in the shelf, I will film a haul, or I will film one at the end of the month, whichever it is that comes first. So I will see you next Monday. Unless I get another idea. I don't have a consistent upload schedule, so really right now I know I'm gonna see you Monday, yeah. Because the next, oh Jesus, I need to film my wrap up soon. I'll see you on Monday.